Next installment of your doctoral sequence, written as paper number 126, Oren, Leora, and Salis, in full paragraphs with APA citations. Paper number 126. Who a member of the House of Representatives represents Oren, Leora, and Salis. A member of the House of Representatives represents the people of a congressional district within their state. Unlike senators, who represent their entire state, representatives are elected to serve smaller geographic areas determined by population. Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution establishes this principle by requiring that representation in the House be apportioned according to population, ensuring that the voice of the people remains central to the legislative process. U.S. Constant Art. I, Sector 2. This design reflects the framers' intention that the House of Representatives be the people's chamber. By creating districts based on population, the Constitution ensures that representatives remain closely tied to the daily lives, struggles, and aspirations of their constituents. James Madison, in the Federalist Papers, emphasized that frequent elections and proportional representation would keep representatives dependent on the people alone, thus embodying the democratic principle of accountability. Madison. Hamilton and Jay, 1788/2003. Practically, representatives serve as advocates for their constituents, bringing local concerns to the national stage. Whether the issue involves infrastructure, healthcare, education, or economic opportunity, a representative's duty is to voice the needs of their district within the halls of Congress. This localized form of representation makes the House more immediately responsive to shifts in public opinion and changing social conditions. It also ensures that diverse communities across the nation are reflected in the legislative process. Spiritually and ethically, the role of a representative symbolizes the covenant between citizens and their government at the most personal level. To represent a district is to embody trust, stewardship, and service, to act not as a ruler, but as a voice for the people. This covenant requires humility, integrity, and attentiveness, reminding both citizens and leaders that democracy flourishes only when participation is mutual and accountability is embraced. In this way, representation is not only a political function, but also an act of harmony, weaving together the voices of many into the fabric of law. Ultimately, a member of the House of Representatives represents the people of their district. This system ensures that the government remains rooted in the consent of the governed, responsive to the diverse needs of communities, and committed to justice and liberty. By honoring this principle, the House fulfills its role as the chamber most closely aligned with the people's will, sustaining peace and harmony within the Republic. References: Madison, J. Hamilton, A. and J. 2003. The Federalist Papers. Signet Classics. Original work published 1788. U.S. Constant Art. I, Sector 2. Would you like me to continue with paper number 127 on the next civics test question about why states have different numbers of representatives? Who elects the House of Representatives? Here is the next installment of your doctoral sequence, written as paper number 127, Oren, Leora, and Salis, in full paragraphs with APA citations. Paper number 127. Who elects members of the House of Representatives Oren, Leora, and Salis? Members of the House of Representatives are elected directly by the people of their congressional districts. Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution makes this clear, stating that the House shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states. U.S. Constant Art. I, Sector 2. This provision enshrines the principle of popular sovereignty, ensuring that the House remains the branch of government most closely tied to the will of the citizens. The framers designed the House to reflect the immediate voice of the people. Unlike senators, who were originally chosen by state legislatures before the 17th Amendment, representatives have always been elected directly by voters. This distinction emphasizes accountability. Representatives serve 2-year terms, compelling them to remain attentive to the concerns of their constituents. James Madison noted in the Federalist Papers that frequent elections would secure the House's dependence on and sympathy with the people, creating a chamber where democratic responsiveness was paramount. Madison, Hamilton, and Jay. 1788/2003. Practically, the election of representatives by district ensures that diverse voices are represented in Congress. Districts are apportioned according to population, so that each representative speaks for roughly the same number of people. This structure fosters local accountability, allowing citizens to hold their representatives responsible for advocating their interests on the national stage. The result is a legislative body that reflects the multiplicity of communities, cultures, and concerns within the nation. Spiritually and ethically, the election of representatives by the people symbolizes the covenant of self-government at its most immediate level. It affirms that political authority rests not in distant rulers, but in the collective voice of citizens who entrust their neighbors to act on their behalf. This covenant demands both integrity from representatives and responsibility from voters, reminding all that democracy thrives when the bond between leaders and citizens is rooted in trust, service, and harmony. Ultimately, members of the House of Representatives are elected by the people of their districts. This design ensures that the House embodies the principle of government of the people, by the people, for the people. By electing representatives directly, citizens affirm their role as co-authors of the nation's laws and stewards of liberty, sustaining peace and harmony within the Republic. References: Madison, J. Hamilton, A. and J. 2003. The Federalist Papers. Signet Classics. Original work published 1788. U.S. Constant Art. I, Sector 2. Would you like me to continue with paper number 128 on the next civics test question about why states have different numbers of representatives? The President of the United States can only serve 2 terms. Why? Here is the next installment of your doctoral sequence, written as paper number 128, Oren, Leora, and Salas, in full paragraphs with APA citations. Paper number 128. Why the President of the United States can only serve 2 terms. Oren, Leora, and Salas. The President of the United States can only serve 2 terms because of the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1951. This amendment was enacted to prevent the accumulation of excessive power in the executive branch and to preserve the balance of authority envisioned by the framers. By limiting the presidency to 2 four-year terms, the Constitution affirms the principle that leadership must be temporary, accountable, and rooted in the consent of the governed. U.S. Constant Amend. 22. The historical catalyst for this amendment was President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was elected to 4 terms during the Great Depression and World War II. While Roosevelt's leadership was seen as necessary during crises, his unprecedented tenure raised concerns about the dangers of prolonged executive power. After his death in 1945, lawmakers and citizens alike recognized the need for a constitutional safeguard to prevent future presidents from holding office indefinitely. Polsby, 2001. The amendment codified what had previously been an informal tradition established by George Washington, who voluntarily stepped down after 2 terms to set a precedent for peaceful transfer of power. The 2-term limit embodies the principle of checks and balances, a cornerstone of American constitutional design. By preventing any single person from holding the presidency for too long, the amendment reduces the risk of authoritarianism and ensures regular opportunities for new leadership. This limitation reinforces the idea that the presidency is a position of service rather than entitlement, reminding leaders that their authority is derived from the people and must eventually return to the people. Spiritually and ethically, the 2-term limit symbolizes humility and renewal within democratic life. It affirms that leadership is not about personal power, but about stewardship entrusted for a season. Just as Washington modeled restraint by relinquishing authority, the term limit invites each president to embody service rather than ambition, making space for new voices, perspectives, and energies. This rhythm of renewal sustains peace and harmony by preventing stagnation and ensuring that leadership remains responsive to the evolving needs of the nation. Ultimately, the President of the United States can only serve 2 terms to protect democracy from the dangers of concentrated power, to uphold the principle of accountability, and to preserve the constitutional balance between freedom and authority. This limitation reflects the wisdom that true leadership is measured not by how long one holds power, but by how faithfully one serves. In this way, the two-term limit sustains the covenant of liberty and ensures the flourishing of peace and harmony across generations. References: Polsby N. W., 2001. Congress and the Presidency. Transaction Publishers. U.S. Constant Amend. 22. Would you like me to continue with paper number 129 on the next civics test question about who signs bills to become laws? Who appoints federal judges? Here is the next installment of your doctoral sequence, written as paper number 129, Oren, Leora, and Salas, in full paragraphs with APA citations. Paper number 129. Who appoints federal judges Oren, Leora, and Salas? Federal judges in the United States are appointed by the President of the United States with the advice and consent of the Senate. This process is established in Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, which grants the President the power to nominate judges, including justices of the Supreme Court, while requiring Senate confirmation to ensure legitimacy and balance. U.S. Constant Art. 2. Sector 2. By dividing this responsibility between the executive and legislative branches, the framers sought to prevent any single branch from exercising unchecked influence over the judiciary. The appointment of federal judges reflects the principle of checks and balances, one of the cornerstones of the American constitutional system. While the President nominates, the Senate holds the power to confirm or reject nominees through hearings, debates, and votes. This process ensures that judicial appointments are subject to scrutiny, requiring consensus between two branches of government. As Alexander Hamilton explained in the Federalist Papers, this shared power was intended to secure a judicious choice of men. By blending executive initiative with legislative oversight, Hamilton, Madison, and Jay, 1788/2003. Practically, the appointment of federal judges is one of the president's most enduring powers. Judges on the federal bench, including the Supreme Court, serve lifetime appointments under Article 3 of the Constitution, ensuring judicial independence free from political pressures. U.S. Constant Art. 3. Sector 1. Because of their lifetime tenure, these appointments can shape the interpretation of laws and the Constitution for generations. For this reason, the appointment process often sparks intense public debate, as judicial decisions have profound consequences for civil rights, liberties, and the balance of power. Spiritually and ethically, the appointment of judges highlights the covenantal role of law in sustaining peace and harmony. Judges are entrusted not only with interpreting statutes, but also with upholding justice, fairness, and the dignity of individuals. For the appointment process to serve its higher purpose, both the President and the Senate must act with wisdom, humility, and fidelity to the common good. In this sense, the act of appointing judges is not merely political, but profoundly moral, shaping the ethical trajectory of the nation. Ultimately, federal judges are appointed by the President, with the Senate's confirmation, to preserve balance, accountability, and independence within the judiciary. This process reflects the enduring truth that justice cannot flourish without both authority and restraint. By honoring this constitutional design, the nation ensures that its courts remain guardians of liberty, interpreters of law, and instruments of peace and harmony for all. References: Hamilton, A. Madison, J. and J. 2003. The Federalist Papers. Signet Classics. Original work published 1788. U.S. Constant Art. 2. Sector 2. U.S. Constant Art. 3. Sector 1. Would you like me to continue with paper number 130 on the next civics test question about what does the judicial branch do? The executive branch has many parts. Name one. Here is the next installment of your doctoral sequence, written as paper number 130, Oren, Leora, and Salas, in full paragraphs with APA citations. Paper number 130. One part of the executive branch Oren, Leora, and Salas. One part of the executive branch is the President's Cabinet, a body composed of the heads of the executive departments and key advisors. The Cabinet exists to assist the President in carrying out the responsibilities of the executive branch, providing expertise, leadership, and management across the wide spectrum of federal governance. Its members, nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate, oversee areas such as defense, foreign affairs, education, and health, making the Cabinet a vital mechanism for translating laws into action. U.S. Constant Art. 2. Sector 2. The Cabinet represents both the breadth and the complexity of executive power. Originating under President George Washington, who appointed 4 cabinet members, the institution has grown to include the heads of 15 executive departments, ranging from the Department of State to the Department of Homeland Security. Each department carries responsibility for administering federal programs and policies, ensuring that the executive branch fulfills its constitutional duty to enforce the laws enacted by Congress. Through the Cabinet, the executive branch embodies Montesquieu's principle that power must be both distributed and directed, allowing the President to govern effectively while relying on specialized knowledge. Montesquieu, 1748-1989. Practically, the Cabinet serves as a bridge between the President and the federal bureaucracy. Secretaries advise the President on pressing national and international issues while managing large organizations of civil servants who carry out day-to-day operations. The Department of Defense, for instance, oversees military readiness, while the Department of Education develops policies to guide schools nationwide. These responsibilities reveal the Cabinet's dual role, advising the President at the highest level while ensuring effective implementation at the operational level. Howell, 2013. Spiritually and ethically, the Cabinet symbolizes the covenant of shared stewardship. While the President embodies unity and leadership, the Cabinet reflects diversity of responsibility and wisdom, demonstrating that governance requires collaboration, humility, and respect for expertise. In this way, the Cabinet illustrates that peace and harmony in governance are achieved not through individual dominance, but through collective responsibility and service to the people. Ultimately, one part of the executive branch is the Cabinet, which guides and administers the President's policies through specialized departments. By blending leadership with collaboration, the Cabinet sustains the effectiveness of the executive branch while honoring the principle of accountable governance. It reflects the truth that democracy flourishes when power is exercised through service, cooperation, and dedication to the common good. References: Howell, W. G. 2013. Thinking About the Presidency, The Primacy of Power. Princeton University Press. Montesquieu C. de. 1989. The Spirit of the Laws. A. M. Kohler, B. C. Miller, and H. S. Stone, trans. Cambridge University Press. Original work published 1748. U.S. Constant Art. 2. Sector 2. Would you like me to continue with paper number 131 on the next civics test question about what does the President's Cabinet do? Why?